The following is a special presentation of iRacing on LSRTV, your home for sim racing.
Live from the high banks, well, not so high banks of Phoenix International Raceway, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to those of you watching on YouTube and twitch.tv/LSRTV. This is round number 34 of the RealSimRacing.com Full Throttle Cup Series presented by Gary Mercer Trucking right here on LSRTV, your home for sim racing. And, well, as you can tell by the fact it's me talking, that means things have gone horribly wrong. Myself, Cisco Scaramouza, and that's about it up here in the broadcast tower. James Pike is currently blocked by a firewall, Brian Macklin is currently working, and Evan has school. So it's going to be one of those nights tonight, but we'll see what we can dig up for you guys this evening here. This is going to be a little bit interesting, a little bit informal, but a whole lot of fun nonetheless. And things have changed a lot since we last left you here at the Real Sim Racing Full Throttle Cup Series, chief among which because of post-race penalties. And some of that coming, as we alluded to during the broadcast post-race 1 week ago. But, well, the point standings, they are completely different. Coming into tonight, Dylan Jones, the only driver with a win because Daniel Eberhardt had his win disqualified after contact with Anthony DeBarro. After Daniel Eberhardt was put on probation, he has been eliminated from the playoff standings, as well as Carl Shed for his contact. Both of those drivers out of complete playoff contention, and now it just comes down to 6 fighting for 4 spots. Well, more like 5 fighting for 3, because Jones, he's good on wins. Washington, for the most part, pretty good right now. What we really need to focus on is the fact that Brandon Bowie and Lionel Callisto basically need a Hail Mary to have any sort of shot to make it in here. They are round about 30 points off of the top group, so yeah, they are going to need a amazing night or some really bad luck out of the drivers of the 98, the 42, etc. if they're going to have any shot of making it into the playoffs for the round of 4 at Homestead coming in 1 week's time. But that's then, this is now, and we saw a very dramatic race here across the 3 different series of the NASCAR ladder. Of course, the Truck Series, Johnny Sauter, the Xfinity Series, we saw William Byron, as well as the Cup Series, a very dramatic race with Matt Kenseth getting his win. So we know this track, anything can happen. It's one of these short tracks, and that means basically anything's on the line. And, well, we welcome in one man who's just gotten off the proverbial bus here. We flew him out all the way to Avondale, Arizona. Chris Murdoch, welcome to RSR. And you know as well as I do that Phoenix is not a track I enjoy to go, because generally whenever we come here, the yellow flag gets displayed quite a lot here, just down to the nature of the track.
It really is. It is such a tricky track to drive here, Cisco. It's going to produce great racing, especially when we get down to that dog leg there. Everybody's going to try to get the extra room they can to get through these corners. You're going to see everybody fighting for position tonight, and Phoenix International Raceway produces great racing. Like you mentioned throughout the weekend, I expect nothing less here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, and qualifying just finishing up here, so we're going to send you to your LSRTV starting grid as soon as I can run over and press the buttons to do so. There we go. Well, your starting grid goes as follows. Andrew Freenars is sitting on the pole tonight with a time at 26.844. To his outside, Dylan Jones is going to start in that 11 car. Then starting in the third place position, David Comstock. Fourth going to go to Anthony DeBarro. And rounding out your top 5, Lionel Callisto. Sixth going to go to Corey Wolf. Seventh to Nelson Rivera. Eighth to the driver of Nick Silver. Ninth place starting going to Austin Coop. And rounding out your top 10, it's Wayne Vincent in the 13. Starting in 11th is going to be Gabe Wood in the 00. 12th going to go to the 12 of Ross Cato. 13th is going to go to the 43 Doug Roth. Shane Ewing starting in the 32 and 14th. 15th going to go to Trevor Rapallo. 16th to Tanner Tellerico. 17th to Eric Stanford. 18th to Brandon Bowie. Not the qualifying time he's looking for. He's going to have to come through the field a la Lewis Hamilton style here. 19th going to go to David Washington. And then he'll be your last qualifier here because you got Ashton Crowder in 20th. 21st going to go to Gio Bramante. Douglas Wyatt going to start 22nd, and that'll round out your 22 car field. Doug Atkinson, one of the admins here for Real Sim Racing. We take a look at your track facts coming in tonight. Avondale, Arizona, we're going for a decent race length here, 135 laps at the track. That's just over a mile, about 1.6 kilometers. Turn banking, 8 to 11 degrees. The trouble spot, though, Chris, is that dog leg. And well, there's a line there because well, traditionally last time we were out here we didn't use the dog leg. That's in full effect here tonight. So that trouble spot coming off the dog leg going into turn number 3, essentially, we saw so many accidents there in USR, and you know, it is a trouble spot just here on the sim in general.
It is, Cisco, and I don't expect people to use it that often. I expect them to use it throughout the maybe first opening laps here, but once you start using it too much, you start to wear the tires a lot. And once that car gets too loose, you go down there to the flat part of the track, it can get very, very hard to handle. So I say maybe through the first 5 laps, you'll see people use it, but after that, you'll start seeing it go away as people stay towards the traditional track here tonight.
Oh, for sure. And everybody now heading behind the iRacing.com Ford Mustang pace car here for their parade lap, and field's going to be in the hand of Andrew Freenars, who comes in tonight not locked in, but looking for that opportunity to lock himself into that race going into Homestead, and that's going to be huge if he can do that. And, well, he's gone already. How about that? Pace car down to the inside. We're green here from Phoenix. Andrew Freenars very early on the throttle. He got out there in a hurry as the field goes 2 by 2 behind him.
Freenars wasting little time, and then you got DeBarro and Comstock right behind him battling for that second place position. But meanwhile, up front, the 88 of Freenars is checked out. They got a lot of work to do before they can catch back up to that driver and being 2 by 2, which is Comstock, and DeBarro right now is not helping the issue at all. Lionel Callisto just behind them, and then you got Dylan Jones, who started second, dropped a huge amount of position on that start, but he's sitting there in that 5th place position. Everybody trying to settle things out and try to track down that 88 machine.
Yeah, the 88 out to an early lead, and very good jump for him. But first yellow gonna fly already, not even a chance to get going. Nelson Rivera around in the 7. Problems for the Verizon Chevrolet. I'm gonna replay on board to see exactly what happened to Nelson. It was coming off through the dogleg, so go figure. It strikes early, and as we look at top from high above to see what exactly happened.
It looks like he was out of shape.
See him head through turn number 1 to his outside. No, not quite. It's going to be the 11 of Dylan Jones, and the 7 just drove up into the wall. I mean, I'm not really sure what happened there. I think he was going to try and arc it into the dogleg there and just got a piece of the wall. So Rivera, the Verizon Fios car, heavy damage early on here. He's going to have to take that down and start getting cosmetic repairs already. So gonna be a long night for Nelson Rivera, but that slows us down 2 laps into this race, and already DeBarro deciding, yeah, I'm gonna take tires right now, because why not?
And tires are super important here, Cisco, so I do not question the call by Anthony DeBarro whatsoever. These cars are super tight, and I think that's exactly what we've seen there from Rivera, just getting up into the gas too early, and he tried to hook it back down, and when he hit the wall and came off, he was already had too much wheel in it, and it just hooked around. So upsetting for that number 7 machine for that to happen so early. But yes, tires are going to be key, especially if you plan on using that dog leg. Andrew Freenars was able to pull away from DeBarro and company very, very quickly, so that everybody knows what that 88 machine can bring to the table now, because he just showed it all throughout. He's been strong all season, and it's no surprise that he is strong at Phoenix.
Oh, for sure, and cars coming off pit road right now, and DeBarro, Jones, Tallarico, Bowie, Ewing, and beyond those guys, Washington, Stanford, Wyatt, Rivera still on pit road getting that damage repaired. So kind of split decision on pit road, like you said, Chris, but I like the call for coming down and taking tires. That's just how I like to race. The more tires you have, and it's this early on, if you're not going to lose a whole lot of positions, I mean, heck, why not?
Exactly, and that is exactly what DeBarro was thinking. He's going to drop all the way down to that 12th position right behind that number 9 machine of Trevoropoulos. So he's got some work to do, but if anybody can do it, it's going to be that 99 of Anthony DeBarro. He can make his way up through this field very quickly and maybe be up there with Comstock before you know it. Comstock coming into this race really, really well. He was handling that outside line very well and was able to actually get in front and battle with DeBarro using that high line. That's something you're going to have to start paying attention to, because you'll start to see people arc these corners, go in the middle and completely cut it down, and maybe even find themselves below the yellow lines at some point. So definitely going to have to watch this line shift throughout the whole night, Cisco.
Yeah, absolutely, and James Pike will be joining us eventually. He turns out he went to university because the internet's better there, and it turns out the firewall blocks both iRacing and TeamSpeak, so James is going to be running around just trying to get everything back set up, and if he joins us later on, it'll make our lives a little bit easier up here in the booth. But Chris Murdoch, Cisco Scaramouza, along with you for the ride here, and the lights are out on the iRacing.com Ford Mustang pace car, so we'll run you through your top 10 right now. Freenars, Comstock, Callisto, Coop, Vincent, Wolfwood, Silver, Roth, and Cato. That's your top 10, and do want to note quickly, Nick Silver back in the Hot Wheels colors this week. A lot of criticism on the green paint. I don't think a lot of people were fans of it, but the Hot Wheels machine is back, as well as the McDonald's colors on that car as well. Apparently I can't talk either, but coming through 3 and 4 this time. And Chris, the field going to be in control of Andrew Freenars.
And we'll have to see whether he is able to rock it off once again as we get ready for the pace car once again, but I expect nothing less than what happened last time from this right here.
And pace car looks to the inside of pit road. Freenar's going to wait on him a little bit, and now he's off. Green flag back in the air. The American Ethanol restart, first one of the evening. And Freenar's back out in front, and Comstock looking to defend a little bit. You see Coop on the outside trying to roll the center. Gets a very good run on the outside, but he'll get into the wall a little bit on the outside of Callisto. That's going to set him back a little bit, back into the clutches of Dwayne Vincent. Meanwhile, Comstock is looking to track down Freenars as they head through 3 and 4. Coop way up the track, and everybody stacking up behind him. The 13, they're going to go 2, maybe 3 wide behind.
Yeah, but meanwhile, in front of them, Comstock lurking in the distance from Freenars. Freenars not able to jump out to the lead that he had the last time, Cisco, because it looks like Comstock was anticipating it this time. You'll see Comstock duck just a little bit below that yellow line. He won't flirt with it too much. He'll be keeping that Andrew Freenars looking in his rearview mirror. Look at the run. The 42 gets through the corner compared to the 88. Going to catch up to him a little bit just behind them. Everything's single filed out. Dwayne Vincent still trying to work around Austin Coop, who we saw get up way off the track and even get into the wall off of turn 2. I'm going to keep my eyes on that turn 2 trouble spot, because it seems a few drivers have kissed the wall so far tonight, Cisco.
Yeah, for sure, and that's going to be a talking point for most of this night. This track, it helps that we have a little bit fewer cars here than normal. I think it's going to make it go a little bit longer of a green flag run, but yeah, no, for sure. This is going to be a case where guys are going to be getting in that wall all evening. Part of that's going to be from the dog leg, trying to apex the corners. A very tough track here in Avondale. But as we come through the dog leg once again. You see Freenar's up ahead. We're on board with Corey Wolf right now, heading through the dog leg and kind of in this single file pack here that's kind of accordion together behind Dwayne Vincent. You see Silver, Wolf, the 43, and Doug Roth and DeBarro all there, just kind of trapped behind one another. That lead group is kind of more spaced out, but now the 43 going to go on the wall a little bit. DeBarro's going to go around him. Easy pass, and Doug Roth kicked to the outside early. Now here comes Ross Cato on the inside trying to make something happen. Not going to happen, though. He will drop in behind Doug Roth as they head through turn number 2 again.
Yeah. Cato trying to make up some time off of the 43's mistake, but he's not going to get there. And just behind him, the 00 of Gabe Wood going to be battling with the 44 of Brandon Bowie. Keep in mind, Brandon Bowie came down pit road that last time by Cisco, so he's on the freshest tires trying to make his way past through all these drivers. And look at him, just power on the outside, and he get by Gabe Wood with ease. Fresh tires, definitely the way to go.
Oh, absolutely. And Jones now going to try and follow suit to the outside of Gabe Wood. Right now goes the driver of the number 11. As you look up front, the lead continuing to space out a little bit. It's getting kind of calm up there because they're battling back here. Jones to the outside. He'll make the pass complete. And now it's looking for his teammate to kind of come through as well, Dave Washington. Both of those guys in very good positions coming into tonight in terms of the playoffs. Jones locked in, Dave at the top of the point standings as far as those go. As they come through 3 once again, Dave to the outside of Gabe in the 00, and looking like they're going to go side by side. Fresh tires going very well in the way of those two right now, and a little bit of a battle in front of those guys. It looks like Cato looking to the inside of Doug Roth. Not going to happen, though. He's going to be under attack from Brandon Bowie in the 44.
Yeah, it's just a huge group of fresh tires right now, Cisco, and they're making quick work of all these drivers that elected to stay out, because now Brandon Bowie going to get around Cato, and now look at all of them. Jones, Washington, all trying to file through on the outside. It looks like maybe they found some speed up there and just power right off through the middle of the corner. Meanwhile, up front, their teammate, Andrew Freenars, is running away with this thing as he's pulled a 6/10 gap on David Comstock so far. Comstock not having too much trouble out the back either. That's going to be Lionel Kalisto, and then Austin Coop and Dwayne Vincent round out your top 5. Vincent gonna have to keep on his toes though, because he's got the 24 of Nick Silver hunting them down in that 6th position. Maybe seeing the battle for the P5 position shape up here very shortly.
Yeah, Silver tracking down the 13 machine of Dwayne Vincent. They head through 1 and 2 once again, and Silver looks to have a little bit of speed. He's got open track in front of him. Everybody very spaced out here early on. Kind of surprised, to be honest. The track not very cluttered. It is cluttered, though, back around Brandon Bowie, who has been charging through this field with Jones and Washington on his tail. Now to the inside of Doug Roth. Roth looks like he's just gotten on the freight train, because guess what? He's not making a whole lot of things work up on that top side, and falling back slowly here is now Washington going to go around the 43, and Doug Roth looking to just kind of put this to the curb for now, so he can just run some laps. 3 more cars go by him, and that group of 3, Bowie, Jones, Washington on those fresh tires. Now Jones looks to the inside of Bowie.
Yeah, and you see Jones, he's kind of flirting right under that yellow line. We saw a lot of that in the Cup Series over the weekend, people getting way down there, and it really, really works at this track. You can use that yellow line to your advantage to help the car turn, get some more speed. Look at Dylan Jones come off that corner, get off of turn 2 really well. He's tracking down Brandon Bowie as they are catching the rest of the field. P8 of Anthony DeBarro is their next car to catch, so fresh tires really tearing through this field right now.
Yeah, Jones, Bowie, and Washington all together, kind of these 3 cars who have taken fresh tires. Meanwhile, we haven't talked much about the leaders because, well, Andrew Freenars, right now the gap's about a 2nd back to David Comstock. Lionel Kalisto sitting 3rd with Austin Coop in 4th there, and they're just kind of sitting there all cruising together, running their own pace here. And this is going to be the case where this is not the way these guys want it to happen with these drivers coming through on new tires, because those drivers are going to be able to make so much speed. As DeBarro now looks to the inside of Corey Wolf, a little bit of damage on the left front. The 99, not sure where that came from, but nonetheless, DeBarro early damage to that Chevrolet, and is going to be fighting that the rest of the race here, Chris.
He is, and he was one of those drivers that also came down pit road, one of the first drivers to come down pit road. So we got a whole host of drivers on fresh tires maneuvering their way through the top 10. Now you see Brandon Bowie trying to get on the outside, and he does get on the outside of Corey Wolf and make quick work of him, and now Jones will follow suit. But we got 4 drivers here on fresh tires, making their way through the top 10. Meanwhile, up near, just in front of them, Nick Silver still trying to track down Dwayne Vincent, but meanwhile, Vincent also tracking down that 53 of Austin Coop. So going to be a whole lot of traffic for these drivers with fresh tires to maneuver through once they get to them.
Yeah, for sure. And Austin sitting in that 4th place position is kind of the bridge between your front 3 and then everybody behind Dwayne Vincent, who's kind of accordioning together. It's the closer group of the two. Got Vincent, Silver, and DeBarro all together, but here comes Bowie, who's been on a tear after the drop of this green flag, looking into turn number 3 this time. Brandon looking around. You see up ahead of us that Coop's already trying to search around. These guys have plenty of practice time. There's a lot of rubber on this track, and Chris, that means that bottom line is going to be slicked up to a T here, and it means these guys, if they want to find speed, if they can search around and find something that works, that's probably going to be better than just sitting there running the bottom.
Yeah, everybody running the bottom right now, and what I've really noticed is these guys on fresh tires are really kind of staying towards the middle of the track. If you look at Brandon Bowie, he's one of those drivers that are using the middle of the track a little bit more, and he's able to get the huge run off the corner because he was able to keep Dylan Jones right behind him. So you'll see him maybe work that middle lane in, and you might see a few drivers come up to him, but just look at the run he gets off of turn number 2 using that middle line. Going to duck down below the yellow line just a little bit throughout the dog leg. Going to be all over the back bumper of the 99 of Anthony DeBarro. So maybe Brandon Bowie's that patient zero, so to speak, that has found something here tonight at Phoenix.
I think what he's found is that Goodyear Eagles are very good when they are new. That has been the story all this restart here now. To looking next victim on the list going to be for Brandon Bowie is going to be that 99 of Anthony DeBarro. Looks to the inside and down through the dog leg he goes, and side by side as they head into turn number 3. And that pass almost done already. The 44 going to slide up a little bit, make a little bit slight contact with the 99, and still going to go side by side. And no, he is going to drop in behind DeBarro here.
And it looks like he just misjudged the entry on the bottom going into turn 3. He really, really overdrove that corner, almost washed up into the 99 of Anthony DeBarro if he didn't wash up into the 99 of Anthony DeBarro. So he's got to rethink his thoughts, but meanwhile, he can't think for too long because look to his inside, the 11 of Dylan Jones trying to get under that yellow line, get some speed on that bottom line, but not going to quite be there. Coming off of 4 just now, completing lap 26 on to lap 27. This race flying by, Cisco.
Yeah, it is. I mean, this is a 1 mile track here, so this is going to be a very short race. They're clicking off laps around kind of the 30-second range here. 28 seconds was last time by your leader, Andrew Freenar's lapping, so it stands to reason here if things go correctly, we should just be around the kind of hour and a half mark here for race time here, considering we had that first caution. So we'll have to see how things line up for that to be the case. But DeBarro, you can see the accordion effect starting to happen behind him. You got Bowie, you got Jones, you also got Washington not too far off these guys either, so they're going to have to try and find a way to pass a very stout defense in Anthony DeBarro right now. Also to note, Austin Coop closing in on Lionel Callisto in 3rd. We're going to keep an eye on DeBarro right now because now Jones looking to the inside of Bowie. He's done waiting, at least for the moment. He's going to have to drop in behind, though. Not going to make the pass happen.
Yeah, battles happening everywhere, Cisco. You said it. Dylan Jones getting tired of waiting behind Brandon Bowie. And Brandon Bowie really can't do anything to get behind DeBarro. He's kind of stalled out here, so maybe having to look here now. Look at Bowie duck down. That's the farthest we've seen anybody go through the dog leg tonight, and it worked because now he's going to be on the inside of the 99 of Anthony DeBarro. But going to wash up just again. He cannot seem to figure out that bottom line through 3 and 4, and that's going to get him right back in the sights of Dylan Jones. Dylan Jones not going to quite make the move just yet, but he's still thinking about it. Meanwhile, Austin Coop losing a little bit of time actually on Lionel Callisto, falling all the way back into the clutches of Dwayne Vincent. So it's a nice maybe 4-car pack we got going on between Coop, Vincent, Silver, DeBarro. Those are the 4 drivers you're watching now, and then just behind them, lurking off in just a little bit, battling between themselves, Brandon Bowie and Dylan Jones.
Yeah, Brandon Bowie now, he's kind of having to shift into defense, and it shows because he's lost a little bit of time to Anthony DeBarro. He's been trying to hold up Jones here and kind of protect his line a little bit, and Jones keeps looking to that inside, and they have plenty of time to be patient here because this race looking to have a green flag look to it right now as DeBarro slowly closing in on Nick Silver. So everybody accordioning together, and it's all starting right behind Lionel Kalisto in the 97. We saw Coop lose a little bit of time. Well, he gained that all right back right now, because hello, Toyota Camry of Austin Coop. He's right there. Then right behind him is Vincent. Right behind him, Silver. Right behind him, Stabaro. I think Bowie and Jones at this point are just waiting to see what happens with this pack first before they make a move.
Yeah, and you can see it because Dylan Jones was making the moves, and then he's kind of backed off the 44 of Brandon Bowie. He can see a storm brewing. Now look to the outside of Lionel Kalisto. That's the 53 of Austin Coop. Gonna make quick work of that 97 machine going down into turns 1 and 2. Gonna get that lead. Just behind them, Nick Silver and Dwayne Vincent going side by side. Then look at Anthony DeBarro. Look at the dog leg. They're cutting the dog leg perfectly, going through that corner to kind of keep Anthony DeBarro just behind Nick Silver, still side by side. Dwayne Vincent and Nick Silver, who's going to get it coming off the corner, still side by side. Hard battling here, coming to lap 34.
Oh yeah, extremely hard battling as Silver trying to make that nose stick and make that car stick as he heads out of turn number 2 again. Looking to the inside, can he complete the pass? He'll go down to the dog leg. No, he won't. He's going to stay up on the yellow line here. Looking to see as they head back into turn number 3 again. Coop's already made it around Kalisto here, and now they're all stacked up behind the 97. Kalisto looking for any way that he can maybe open up that gap a little bit, but it's not happening. They're too wide behind him here, as well as Bowie and Jones, who have rolled up into this fight now and have nowhere to go. Jones looks to the inside of Bowie, so they're 2 by 1 by 2.
And that basically break there, that 99 of Anthony DeBarro, just kind of a sit and duck in the middle of everything. Look at Dylan Jones use up all of the track trying to get by that 44 of Brandon Bowie, but it's not going to quite work. Still side by side, and still side by side for the 24 of Nick Silver and the 13 of Dwayne Vincent, basically swapping positions on the ticker here. Now you see Dylan Jones get the run off of the corner. We'll see if he tries to cut the dog leg, and he does. So does the 24 of Nick Silver. Brandon Bowie will lose the position to Dylan Jones. Now Dylan Jones is going to try to get a 2-for-1 as he gets to the inside of Anthony DeBarro, washes up almost contact with that 99 machine, but still side by side for the 24 and 13.
Yeah, side by side they continue to go, and the 13 doing a very good job of keeping the 24 behind him. DeBarro got very loose. I think he tried to send it in on the inside of Silver. It did not stick. A heck of a save by DeBarro. He'll lose that position to Jones, and maybe another by Bowie, who's right there. Meanwhile, Vincent to the inside of Lionel Kalisto as they head into turn number 3. He's going to wash up a little bit, and that means the 24 trapped, nowhere to go. But it looks like Vincent's going to try and complete this pass as they come out of turn number 4. Drag race to the line. They're even right now as they head back into 1.
Kalisto doing everything he can to try to keep even with that 13 of Dwayne Vincent, and he's working that outside line really good. Look at the run. He gets off at turn number 2, trying to stay side by side. Meanwhile, look at Dylan Jones using the dog leg to his advantage to try to get by the 24 of Nick Silver. Still side by side, and he does, for the moment, get by the 24, but the 24 going to use that outside line to his advantage, but it's not going to make any work. Now the 11 of Dylan Jones looking towards Lionel Kalisto, trying to follow Dwayne Vincent through. Now Nick Silver gonna follow suit. Lionel Kalisto getting that freight train.
Yeah, Kalisto getting the freight train there, and just a case of no tires, I think, right now is the symptom for the 97, and just not able to hold on to that outside. And we've seen the freight train effect happen to Doug Roth, and it's happening to Kalisto, but he's still going to try and fight it on the outside. He'll even up with Jones as they head back into turn number 1, doing everything he can. Nick Silver, we're on board with there, trying to make the outside line work. And Kalisto, though, nothing going to happen, though. They'll go single file and head through the dog leg once again, bouncing around as the 44 down there on the very flat Bowie was as it gets to the inside of DeBarro. And now Kalisto still stuck up on the high side. Here comes Nick Silver, and then I don't know where DeBarro's going to go, because unless they go 3 wide, he's got nowhere to go.
And I do not want to take away from this amazing battle, but while we've been focusing on this, we've completely ignored the lead. It was up over a second. Freenars may have used up all the tires he could, because now Comstock 3/10 away from knocking on that door to the lead. Comstock has had to pull something out to catch that 1 second gap that Freenars had over him, and he's still catching that 88 machine. So maybe Andrew Freenars has found somebody that can finally challenge him for that lead as Comstock is slowly making his way up to the front. But if we go back to the battle we were talking about now, Dylan Jones trying to get on the outside of Vincent. Vincent going to go up high, so Dylan Jones goes low. Jones gonna try to make that inside line work, go quite, put 2 tires under that yellow line, trying to get the grip, trying to get the speed. Not gonna be quite clear of the 13 just yet as they're coming across the line. Still gonna keep that nose there. Now Dwayne Vincent backs off and lets the 11 go.
Yeah, and this green flag run has absolutely come to the benefit of the drivers on new tires. Jones up to 4th, Bowie up to 7th, and Bowie's really even had a harder race. Also keep in mind, Dave's still lurking back there in the top 10 position. He basically just has to ride this evening. Chris doesn't have to do anything crazy here because looking at the amount of cars, he shouldn't have to worry. The only worrying thing for him is if Kalisto or Bowie win this thing, and even then, that'll knock out Freenars. So Washington, by all intents and purposes, really doesn't have to worry about his position unless he wrecks out. So Washington just content to ride 22 cars in this field should be good as he now goes by Lionel Kalisto. That's one car that even he doesn't really have to worry about. They're also side by side behind Gabe Wood and Corey Wolf going at it. And then also in front of those guys, Bowie and DeBarro side by side as they head back into turn number 1. DeBarro on the inside sends it in.
DeBarro trying to make that inside line work, but look at the run, the 44. Brandon Bowie gets off the corner, going to clear that 99 machine and then duck below that dog leg, trying to get everything he can out of this car. If there was one driver that 98 machine of David Washington needs to worry about, it's going to be that 44 of Brandon Bowie, who's just basically been on a tear throughout this field. And then Dylan Jones slowly rolling in. That 53 of Austin Coop, who's done a phenomenal job early on here tonight, running in that 3rd place position. Dylan Jones still on those fresh tires. Austin Coop has yet to pit, so Dylan Jones going to have a little bit of an edge on him, but that is all it takes to get around somebody here at Phoenix. Meanwhile, up front, the 2 leaders in Andrew Freenars and David Comstock have kind of stalled out at that 3/10 gap. No more time has been gained by that 42 machine, so they both kind of stalled out here late in this green flag run.
I think it might have been a slight mistake because it was to 5/10 earlier on and he just gained it all back. So I think Comstock trying to find something to work here. He's slowly closing here, but for Comstock, it's not as much Freenars that I'm worried about as it is Jones, because Jones has been tearing through this field. As we saw those 2 leaders, the battle for 3rd side by side right now. Goodbye, Dylan Jones. Fresh tires is the cure-all for most of these stock cars, and that is the case for Dylan Jones. To the inside, goodbye Austin Coop. Coop gonna try and fight back, but the attempt gonna be futile, and Jones, I think at this point, just gonna pull away and try.
So it makes a big difference. Just really fast, and it's our Daytona. So that's what's great about it, and we have a fast car for tomorrow. I think the biggest thing is they're heavier cars. The tire's a lot different, and the way you go about setting them up is a lot different. They use all 4 tires more than a modified, where we typically drive off the right rear, you know, so. Well, actually, it's funny. I raced NASCAR race in 2003 before iRacing came about, and then when iRacing came about, my friend Kevin Iannarelli, who works at iRacing, kind of told me, hey man, you need to switch over to this, and when I did, I was like, oh my God, this is like real life. So I started using it as a tool of mine to really prepare for modified races, whether it was Stafford or Thompson or Loudon, Bristol, and then obviously the Xfinity Series last year, going to road courses, trying to get laps, and use it as a tool that can get me as prepared as I could be without actually doing it. So it's been great.
And after that brief aside, welcome back to racing right here on LSRTV, your home for sim racing. Cisco Scaramouza alongside Chris Murdoch, and the internet gods deciding not to smile on us today, but nonetheless, we'll fight through it. And we're watching the battle right now between Corey Wolf, Doug Roth, and basically the mess that is behind Lionel Kalisto right now. Kyle Barnes keeping y'all updated in chat right now as we head through turns 1 and 2 yet again, as we're working to try and get the overlays back as well. When these things go down, generally they take everything with them. So we're working on getting back here, but you see up ahead here, once I gain the ability to actually switch through cars, which there we go. That'll help a little bit. Dylan Jones, as was being mentioned, has found his way up to third. Comstock has closed in on Andrew Freenars here in this battle for the first place position here, Chris. And now closing in is going to be right there and have the opportunity to get past Freenars. Just about, the gap's been about the same, about that 3/10 group. The other battle that was going on was around Anthony DeBarro, and it's basically a mess around him because it's Brandon Bowie and Dwayne Vincent all around him.
Yeah, everybody is battling everywhere as these tires are wearing down. Look at the 42 machine. Gonna give a slight maybe tap to the 88 of Andrew Freenars. Gonna look to the inside. The first battle for the lead we've had all night here, Cisco. Going down to the turn 3. Comstock is gonna be there trying to get everything he can out of Freenars. Gonna use that yellow line to his advantage like we've mentioned so many times here tonight. Gonna be side by side coming to the line. Who's gonna get it? It's gonna be Freenars. Gonna take that one at the line. So the side-by-side battle for the lead is shaping up, and this is exactly what Dylan Jones wants to see in front of him. Now a second behind these two, so we might be seeing a 3-car battle for the lead before too long, as now they're still side-by-side for the lead. Freenar's way up the track. That means the 42 of Comstock's gonna get by him. New leader, 42.
Yeah, 42 right now, doing an excellent job, and gonna try and complete it here. Not quite gonna happen though, and these two going side by side has allowed Mr. Dylan Jones to show back up to the party. Keep in mind, he's on the fresher tires. Goodbye David Comstock though. Goodbye Andrew Freenars. Freenars gonna go from first to third in about 1 corner there. That's all it took. Jones is now there. He's got the nose down on the inside, and thank you very much. David Comstock leads, but for how long?
And this just goes to show how important tires are here. We had that one caution and that one round of pit stops here at the beginning, but green, smooth sailing for the rest of the way, and it's smooth sailing for Dylan Jones as he's using the dog leg once again, trying to get everything he can. You can see him not using as much as he was earlier as he got those fresh tires starting to wear off, but nonetheless still catching that 42 of David Comstock and leaving Andrew Freenars in his dust.
Oh, for sure, and Jones is there. He's about 1/10 off him here as they head into one once again, and the battle that was very calm for so long has heated up, and it's between these two. Jones down to the inside, looks to try and use the dog leg, can't get the nose in, but he'll have the apex in the preferred line down on the bottom as they head into turn 3. Comstock a very wide apex heading through 3 and 4, and now I'm beginning to wonder how much tire life is or what the strategy call is going to be for Dylan Jones here, because Comstock may be trying to split this thing down the middle, Chris, and if he can do it on fuel, that's going to be very interesting here. I'm curious to see what the strategy call is for the driver of the 42.
Yeah, and the 42 has to make his strategy call here soon, because look, down to the inside, Dylan Jones going to be trying the inside. 42 way up the track, almost up next to the wall, so that's going to open the door wide open for Dylan Jones to be there on the inside. And now going down into turn 1, he's going to have no issue. Never mind, Comstock gonna power off the outside, gonna keep him even, trying now. Dylan Jones gonna use that dog leg to his advantage, get that extra bit of time he needs on to get by David Comstock, and David Comstock is just gonna let him go. Now look, you see the 97 of Lionel Kalisto trying to get by these guys. That's the fresh tires. Kalisto has already come down pit road, and that's just the difference fresh tires makes, because he blew by those two with no problem at all.
Oh, for sure. And another driver you saw kind of in the corner of the picture come down pit road, Andrew Freenars, who has just left himself, as well as Nick Silver coming out with fresh tires. So both of those drivers making that pit call early, and Freenars now to the inside of Tanner Tallarico. That battle going on right now, but Jones, Comstock, Coop all still staying out here, waiting for their time to come down pit road and see what the call is going to be for them. Also, Brandon Bowie's been down pit road as well. He's a lap down near leaders, but he's the first one, I believe, who has come down pit road, is trying the strategy here. Bowie on the very, very fresh tires.
Yeah, Bowie was on fresh tires. He did pit that last time, but I thought he would make his pit stop here now and get it out of the way. So Brandon Bowie going to be that first car 1 lap down. Meanwhile, Dylan Jones just walking away from David Comstock, now up over 0.8 of a second gap to that 42 machine. Meanwhile, back 4 seconds is that 53 of Austin Coop, who is still staying out. Then Dwayne Vincent and Anthony DeBarro will round out your top 5. And now look at Andrew Freenars on those fresh tires, passing those aforementioned drivers through. And now him and Brandon Bowie battling for that lucky dog position. You can see him crossing the line right now. Andrew Freenars all over the back bumper of the 44.
Yeah, Freenars and Bowie are 2 front runners on this strategy for the tires here. Coop goes to the bottom side. That's your 3rd place driver. Freenars looks to the outside, and this would, in theory, be your battle for the lead when these guys hit pit road. We'll have to see how it all cycles out here, but nonetheless, right now, Freenar's looking. Now Coop gonna head pit side here. I think he was waiting for Bowie to get around him here, so Coop gonna make that move to pit road. And meanwhile, Jones still out in front by a long ways, and Dwayne Vincent, meanwhile, has got a mirror full of Anthony DeBarro. These 2 on the same strategy. DeBarro still suffering that damage, but it hasn't hampered him a whole heck of a lot, because he's been able to battle through this pack right now. You see Nick Silver, you see D-Wash there. D-Wash on the same strategy as the 13 and the 99. No, he isn't, because the 13 just hit pit road. So now Dwayne Vincent decides he's coming down pit road, and the question is, Dylan Jones and David Comstock, are they waiting for past that halfway point where they can just one-stop this thing? Or in Comstock's case, 1 stop, in Jones's case, 2 stop?
It's just a huge strategy call. But, I mean, I don't believe David Comstock can afford to wait too much longer, because he's now 1.6 seconds behind Dylan Jones. Dylan Jones really walking away from this field. They are the only 2 drivers. Never mind, we still got Anthony DeBarro out there on fresh tire or on old tires. So there's a few drivers who still haven't pit yet to there's just a whole lot of strategy going on here. Huge green flag run. Dylan Jones going to come out of turn 4 to try to complete lap 74 here. So we've been green pretty much from the get-go, except for that one minor caution there at the beginning where Nelson Rivera hit the wall and spun out Cisco. So everything smooth sailing, and all these drivers crunching numbers in their head.
Yeah, for sure, and the calculator's out. I know Dylan Jones has some help on top of the box that's going to be able to help him, as it will D-Wash. So your top 9 drivers, according to my maths, have not come down pit road yet. So that's Stanford, Wolf, Rapallo, Cato, Tallarico, Washington, DeBarro, Comstock, and Jones. Your top 9 have not come down pit road, and they're going to try, I think, the strategy call here and see what they get. Meanwhile, hello, Andrew Freenars. He's coming through the field right now on a tear. Just got around the 11 right there of Dylan Jones, so he will unlap himself with that move. Brandon Bowie not too far down the road, but that's what happened with that battle. Goodbye, Andrew Freenars. That car's been hooked up all evening, and showing it here as now Bowie looks to unlap himself as well. So we go under the stand. 75 laps completed here from Avondale, Arizona, and right now Dylan Jones continuing to stay out on the racetrack.
And so is David Comstock, which baffles me, because Comstock was one of those drivers that never pit on the first round of pit stops here, Cisco. So he's still out there on very, very old tires. Meanwhile, Jones still trying to crunch numbers, and there he goes. The 11 of Dylan Jones going to duck down pit side for his round of pit stops. Comstock going to follow suit. There's your 2 leaders on pit road. Everybody coming down pit road, as now they see everybody coming in except for Ross Cato. Ross Cato going to stay out there one more time, and so is Trevor Rapallo. So those are going to be your top 2 as everybody's trying to cycle through pit stops. Ross Cato up to the lead.
All right, so that means about 60 laps from here on out, I believe, should get them to the end there. And I believe that's the fuel call, everybody coming down there. So I think synergizing on the strategies here, and I believe, doing the math in my head, they should be good to the end by a fair margin, considering that caution came out on lap 2. They went back green around lap number 8 or so. So they should be good to the end here, Chris.
They are, and now Cato still out there on old tires, still trying to lead the field. Trevor Roppolo, meanwhile, coming down. Meanwhile, that third place driver, the 88 of Andrew Freenar, has played the strategy correct because he's 2 seconds ahead of the 44 of Brandon Bowie, and still on a tear, while Cato and Roppolo still stay out about 10 seconds ahead of him. Now Roppolo gonna come down, get those tires as I mentioned before, and now he's off and away, so that just leaves Cato out there on pit road. Still hasn't pit yet. We'll have to see when that 12 car makes the decision to come down.
All right, so while we've just gone around halfway, we'll bring him in here. The man who's made his way back on the bus, back to the home. We've gotten through the firewall, we've knocked it down, and as Ross Cato comes down pit road, hello, James Pike.
Hello, Cisco Scaramouza and Chris Murdoch and everybody who's been wondering where on earth I am. But it's been a one hot, wild night here in London, just as it has been on the racetrack, and we've seen a lot of guys come and go in tire strategy in this race. I've seen a lot of crazy stuff happen here. We've seen Andrew Freenar storm up through the field, Dylan Jones come up through the field, guys like Austin Coop take tire strategy early and not necessarily have it pay off. It's been kind of all over the place, Chris, but as we start to begin to roll into the second half of this race, what exactly do you think we're going to see, especially now that we've gone on a decent-sized green flag run?
Well, we know that the 42 of David Comstock, be it he did pit late, James, he is good at saving those tires because he was able to track down that 88 of Andrew Freenar that now leads by 2 seconds over Brandon Bowie. He was able to track down that driver fairly quickly once the tires started to go away, so I'm still going to have my eyes on that 42 of David Comstock, who's on the freshest of tires, and he's sitting there in that P8 position, so we'll have to see how he does coming back up through the field. Meanwhile, Brandon Bowie, who has been able to work that middle line just a little bit as we've crossed that midway point, he's able to work that middle line just a little bit and even higher than he was before, just up there towards that third groove here, James. So we'll have to see if Brandon Bowie is trying to find some speed somewhere else.
A reminder that Bowie and Lionel Callisto, in all likelihood, have to win this race in order to make it into the championship for next week at Homestead, Miami. And since we've crossed the halfway point, it is time to take a look at your iRacing Midway Race Break, which is brought to you tonight by iRacing, the leading online racing simulation. In the fast-paced world of esports, iRacing is a one-stop shop for all of your official racing because it was developed from the beginning as a centralized racing and competition service, and now it organizes, hosts, and officiates races on virtual tracks all around the world in the fast-paced world of esports. iRacing is home to officially sanctioned racing from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, the Cars Tour, USAC, and recently announced Red Bull Global Rallycross. After 84 laps have gone up on the board here as they work lap 84, Andrew Freenar is your race leader. Brandon Bowie sits in the second position at the moment. Nick Silver currently runs in the third spot. Gabe Wood can be found in fourth. Dylan Jones currently sits in fifth. David Comstock is running in the sixth position. Austin Coop runs in seventh at the moment. Shane Ewing is eighth. Dwayne Vincent ninth. And Nelson Rivera rounds out your top 10 as they run.
David Washington in that 98 machine, who basically is one of your championship drivers who just has to ride here tonight, is going to be riding in that 11th place position. Tanner Tallarico is going to be 12th. Anthony Barlow 13th. 14th goes to that 43 of Doug Rock. 15th goes to Corey Wolf. 16th is Lionel Callisto. That is your last driver on the lead lap. Then we go 17th, one lap down. That's Trevor Roppolo. Ross Cato is 18th. 19th, Eric Stanford, and then Douglas Wyatt rounding out your top 20. 21st goes to the 37 machine. That'll round out your 20 car field, actually.
All sorts of craziness here, and that has been tonight's iRacing Midway Race Break. For more information on the wide variety of sim racing possibilities online, visit iRacing.com to sign up today. For a limited time, you can visit iRacing.com/World of Outlaws and take advantage of exclusive promo codes to get yourself on the sim with a 1-year membership for half the price. Once again, that's iRacing.com/World of Outlaws. As we get back to it, Chris, everybody's still just trying to navigate this long green flag run.
Everybody is, and now you'll see one of those drivers that is a lap down in Throttle, trying to get by his teammate of Andrew Freenars, trying to unlap himself and get by and get back on that lead lap, but he's not going to be able to quite get there to that 88 machine just yet. Meanwhile, 4 seconds back, Brandon Bowie still trying to ride it out, find speed somewhere to get there and contend with that 88 machine, trying to figure out where the next battle is on the field, and it's going to be the 32 and the 7 battling it. Nelson Rivera coming back after a hard hit to the outside wall and trying to bounce back. You see that rear end have a bit of damage. Now he's going to be battling with that 32 of Shane Ewing, and then behind them, championship driver David Washington in that 98 machine, trying to figure out where he wants to go in this mess as well.
All kind of bunched up there. Washington in a pretty good position to make it on point. Same can be said about Comstock at this stage, and same can be said about Freenars. The only thing that will shake up the championship for is that Brandon Bowie can run down Freenars and find a way to get to the front. Rivera is going to go ahead and clear Shane Ewing in the 32 machine, as will David Washington. So Ewing will go back to the 11th position, move Rivera and Washington up 1 spot. But again, it's all about what's happening at the front of the field. And right now, Andrew Freenars is driving away from Brandon Bowie to the tune of about 0.2 of a second a lap. It's gone up here in about the last 5 or 6 laps from a 4-second to a 5-second race lead for the 88 machine.
88 machine definitely does know how to work those tires, but if we base it off of what happened last time when me and Cisco were covering it, Andrew Freenars basically kind of fell off and just dropped all of a sudden. Maybe uses those tires up too much. Maybe he's learned a few things to try to keep that car under him here tonight, Pike, but he really needs to keep Brandon Bowie behind him to secure David Washington's spot and keep everything the way Aegis wants it here in this championship 4, with the Homestead looming in the distance just 1 week away.
Well, even then, it would be Freenars, I believe, who would be out of, well, actually, no, it might actually be Comstock at this stage, just trying to punch the numbers and look at the math. Freenars was behind Comstock by 4 points coming into tonight. Right now, that gap is 6 positions. So, as it stands, if Bowie were able to get around Freenars and Freenars were able to hang on to second, it would be Comstock that would miss out on the championship 4. But there's a lot of racing that needs to happen. We still have, I believe, 30 laps to go here at Phoenix, and still a pretty significant gap by Phoenix standards here for Andrew Freenars. Up over the 5-second mark as he crosses the stripe. We'll see what it looks like this time around as lap cars with Trevor Roppolo and Ross Cato come underneath your race leader, and it's still about a 5-second lead for Freenars. So as long as he keeps that nose clean, I think he should be in decent shape. But the lap traffic is going out of the way, and Brandon Bowie should be able to see Freenars when they come to the next straightaway, maybe on the back straight, but he is the next car in line on the racetrack. So target is visible now if you are the 44.
And boy, how long or how quick this race has gone by here, Pike. Normally, and even Cisco and I were joking at the beginning of the broadcast, when we go to Phoenix, the caution flag tends to wave a lot here, but we've only seen one of those yellow flags come out here tonight. The rest of the way has been green flag and a lot of hard, clean racing from all these drivers here. It's been a phenomenal day of racing at Phoenix Raceway, and trying to close it out is Andrew Freenars, trying to keep that gap between 4 seconds, and he's really working those tires and working this track, trying to keep the speed in the car, because he does not want to let the 44 or the 11 of Dylan Jones, who is also so fast on these long runs. As you see Dylan Jones use all of the track going below the yellow line in 3 and 4 to try to catch up and play spoiler to this one.
And we'll see what happens here. Bowie was able to eat into it a little bit, and then it came back up that last time by. But that's, I think, the most important thing to do right now. Watch the intervals between Bowie and Farinar. Sits at 4.8 seconds at the moment. Dylan Jones is about a second and a half back of his teammate. Maybe a little bit underneath that in the 11, or rather not teammate, geez. That's the kind of night it's been, but Dylan Jones, your leader of the Aegis Motorsports contingent at the moment, currently sitting in the 3rd position. Then Nick Silver 4th, Gabe Wood with a strong run tonight in 5th, and David Comstock definitely could use a few points if Bowie is in a position where he can start running down Farinars. And here comes the battle for that 5th position. Comstock underneath the 00 of Gabe Wood should clear him out of 3 or 4. Wood will give it to him, so move David Comstock up into the top 5 now.
Comstock trying to get by, you know, putting the hand out the window, signaling to Gabe Wood that he appreciates Gabe kind of just letting him by, coming there in P5. He's still got a lot of work to do, still 7 seconds back from any shot at this lead. He would probably need a caution for him to have any chance at coming back and winning this thing. Same for pretty much everybody else. It's going to be tough to make up 5 seconds on Brandon Bowie, as Bowie's going to have to battle Dylan Jones for the 2nd place position here. Going to move to the outside. Jones going to use that dog leg. So is Bowie, just a little bit there. But Brandon Bowie still trying to hold on. Jones going to use that track up again. He's the only one that I see constantly using that yellow line to his advantage here, Pike, but still side by side for the 2nd position. Freenars has got to be loving this out the back end.
Freenar's getting away from this, and this is Brandon Bowie's championship chances on the line right here. Nearly got loose coming out of turn 2. I don't think it's going to matter, though. Easy pickings down the back straightaway and through the dog leg for the 11 of Dylan Jones. He goes up to P2, so Bowie's going to have to pass 2 cars now if he wants to get to the lead and have a shot at the championship 4. And to make matters worse, Dave Comstock was able to get around Nick Silver that last time by while Billy and Jones were going at it. So now the point gap between Freenars and Comstock is down to 3 points, and Comstock would be in the championship 4. Freenars would be the one out if Bowie can get to him. But right now, that's a big if. They've got 5 seconds worth of race to run down.
And they do indeed here, Pike. A lot of racing left to go, a lot of time to make up. Anything can happen here at Phoenix, so we'll just have to wait and see. I know I'm on the edge of my seat looking to see who's the championship 4 going to be going into Homestead in 1 week time. Andrew Freenars putting up a good fight for that position. Now 5 seconds even between him and that 11 of Dylan Jones sitting in 2nd place. Then we got Brandon Bowie, Comstock, and Silver rounding out your top 5.
Pretty impressive, though, as it stands. If we threw the checkered flag now of your championship 4 drivers, you want to know how many of them are in the top 5 at the moment? 3. David Washington in 8th is the only one outside of even the top 4. So you swap out Bowie with Washington, you've got the 4 guys who would be in the championship fight next week at Miami right now already up there. So I think, if anything, Murdoch, that says that most likely, I think we will probably have the 4 fastest drivers, arguably all season, going into Homestead with the shot at the title if everything holds.
And that's exactly what this format is made to do. Put the faster drivers, put the drivers who can get the wins, can stay up front, put them in that championship 4, and it can honestly make for a fantastic race at Homestead in just 1 week. Meanwhile, Dylan Jones kind of tracking down. It was at 5 seconds just a few laps ago. Now it's at 4.1 seconds. So he's knocking off probably a second every 2 or 3 laps here, Pike. So I'm going to be looking at Dylan Jones to try to get there and make the move on Andrew Freenars if the laps hold out and if there's not a yellow.
If there's not a yellow. Meanwhile, guess who continues to just come up through this field? The 42 of David Comstock. Got around Nick Silver and Gabe Wood a few laps ago. Now knocking on the rear bumper of the 44 machine. coming within touching distance of the 44 of Brandon Bowie to go get the third position. Drives it deep into turn 3. Just about got it on the brakes in time in order to keep that car from sliding up into the 44. Bowie got loose a little bit on the exit of the final corner there, and that might set up Comstock for a run underneath Bowie. He goes down to the bottom. We'll try and clear him coming out of the dog leg. We'll go side by side down the back straightaway. They just avoid making contact there through the dog leg, but Comstock will drive it deep in there again. This time, can he make it stick underneath the 44? Think he'll have him at the line. Might not necessarily have the position, but he'll have it at the stripe. Just needs the track position, just needs to clear the 44 now, and I think he'll be able to do that here. So now that battle is, I think, finally over. Yes, Comstock able to get in front of the 44, so David Comstock now up to P3.
And I see that you had to say, I think, because Brandon Bowie was on that charge coming out of turn 2, and I thought he was going to make the move low, but he thought better of it, thought to stay right behind David Comstock. Now David Comstock has his sights set on the lead that is just now under 3 seconds, Pike, so I say that we're going to have a battle shaping up for the lead here in the next few laps between Dylan Jones and Andrew Freenars, and that's exactly what David Comstock needs to see. He needs to see some side-by-side racing if he has any chance at making up a 5.7 gap on these two fast drivers.
Interestingly enough, though, the gap from Freenars to Jones has come down considerably. Big-time moves have happened there. While Comstock has been running up towards the front of this field, Jones has started to crack the whip and come down on Freenars' lead. It's now down to 2.5 seconds as we get down towards the 20 lap to go mark. 23 laps as it stands. Jones will come across the stripe here to take the next lap here. He'll start to work lap 114, and it's another 2/10 off the lead. Comstock has brought that lead down as well. Bowie continues to slide back and sees his championship hopes slide away in front of him, and it may well be Dylan Jones and Andrew Freenars racing for the win here in not too long from now.
Not too long at all here. Pike is now crossing the line. The gap between the two drivers is gonna be 2 seconds, so Dylan Jones still got a little bit of time to make up here with about 20 laps to go. So I do believe that these drivers will be fighting it out for the lead, because that 88 is slowly backing up to that 11 of Dylan Jones. So it's only a matter of time before Dylan Jones makes his way up to Andrew Freenar.
Really starting to come down now. Won't be more than about 10 laps at this rate. Lead is now down to 1.7 seconds, and Comstock has closed the gap on Jones a little bit. That's still a little bit bigger at 4.5 seconds behind Freenar. So he's got 3 seconds to make up on Dylan Jones before he can think about maybe leading, maybe even winning this race if everything falls the right way for him. But the gap between Freenars and Jones is the one to watch here, as you see Jones begin to work the lap car of Lionel Callisto running at the 18th spot. Just not the night that the 97 wanted here in such a critical position in the round of 8. It just has not come together for him, and in all likelihood, he will not advance to the championship for a valiant run this season for Callisto, but it probably won't be enough. Jones now comes underneath him to go get the track position and get him clear. Now down to 1.2 seconds. Jones closing on Freenars in the closing stages of this race.
Closing on Freenars, indeed. I say by the time they cross the line, that gap will be under a second. As you see Dylan Jones use all of the track to his advantage. Once again, he is the only driver that I have seen so far tonight that uses the complete track to his advantage, and he can now see that 88 machine going through turns 1 and 2 right now, so they can see every he can see the prize, and it is staring right in front of him.
0.4 of a second came off of Freenars' lead that last time by. Jones is coming. He might be there here, not even within 10 laps, but within the next 2 or 3, because the handle, especially mid-corner on the 88, has just completely gone away. Another 3/10 that last time by. So Jones now only with a 0.5 of a second lead. It's almost car lengths at this stage between he and the 88 machine. Freenars trying to hang on. Jones coming, running on the bottom of the racetrack, finding a way to really arc it nicely through 3 and 4. That's where most of this time looks like it's being made up for the 11 machine. This time by, the lead now down to 0.2 of a second. So another 3/10 off of Freenars' lead, and the 88's just slipping and sliding through the corners, and he just cannot hang on to this thing. We'll see how much of a favor he can do David Comstock here, because even though both of these drivers look mostly set for the championship four, a race win is still a race win no matter how you slice it. So we'll see what sort of team tactics they play here, or whether or not Dylan Jones is about to make his move to go get the race lead on lap 122.
You see the gap from David Comstock to this battle as you see Dylan Jones go to the inside, using the entire dog leg to his advantage. Going to be side by side going through turns number 3. This is exactly what the David Comstock machine needs to see. 2.8 seconds back from all of this commotion going on. Still side by side for the lead. Coming off of turn 4, the 88's going to wiggle just a bit. Can the 11 get the position going down into turn 1? He's not going to get there. The 88 going to even up. Coming off of turn 2, Dylan Jones going to rock it off the corner and clear the 88 machine. New leader, Dylan Jones.
Dylan Jones to the race lead, and Freenars just tried to gas it up too early off of turn 2. Had to get out of the throttle just a little bit to avoid hitting the outside retaining wall. So the only question now in my mind is whether or not he's got the ability to hang on the rear bumper of the 11 and learn his racing line to try and make his lap times better. That's about the only shot that Freenars has got in order to hang with Dylan Jones. Otherwise, Jones, I believe, would get his second win, at least in the playoffs, maybe within this round even, to make his way to Homestead, Miami. 125 coming up on the board next time by. 11 laps to go here at Phoenix.
Dylan Jones just creeping away from the 88 of Andrew Freenars, now at a 7/10 gap, James. He has really pulled the gap on that 88 machine. Meanwhile, the 42 is slowly pulling the gap in to that 88 machine, so we'll have to see how that fights up. Now Brandon Bowie having a little battle of his own between the 24 of Nick Silver. So all the battles coming down to a close here with only 10 laps to go as Dylan Jones takes it by that time. 10 laps to go.
10 laps for Dylan Jones, and I stand corrected in some sense. It would be his second win of this round. It would be his 4th win of the playoffs. It would be his 4th win in the last 10 races, and he would become the only driver to win in all 3 rounds of the playoffs. The man with the momentum right now is absolutely the 11 machine. If he can hang on, he might just win his way into a spot as the Vegas favorite coming into next week's finale in Homestead, Miami.
He really is the Vegas favorite, and everybody's got to really keep it on watch because, you know, all these drivers, especially David Washington, who really doesn't have much to worry about in this race. He's got to be keeping tabs on his teammate of the 11, Dylan Jones, because that's a championship you're fighting for. Once you get to Homestead, all bets are off, and you got to believe that everybody on Aegis that makes this into the round of 4 is going to be giving it everything they got. So just going to be looking at our Vegas favorite, like you mentioned, Dylan Jones, to see if he can finally cap off the season and get the championship.
Still has to make it through this race first. He's got to find a way to execute. It's not over yet. Still has a handful of laps to work. Looking at lap 129 that they are working at this stage. So 6 to go when Dylan Jones crosses the stripe. Freenars will get some company from Comstock. I don't know if Comstock will be able to get there in time, but that will be the battle to watch on the racetrack here, as Comstock actually gets held up a little bit going around the outside of Shane Ewing, who's decided to come to pit road, maybe for fresh tires, maybe to just park it, with the race for the most part being all wrapped up, save for everything that's going on here at the front of the field. Comstock might not be done though.
Comstock really reeling in that 88 of Andrew Freenar. It's about a second gap between the two. That he can see that driver going through 3 and 4, and he's going to close up the gap very quickly here, coming through 3 and 4, getting the run off of turn number 4. It looks like Andrew Freenar's tires have just gone by the wayside here, James. He's just slowly catching back, or coming back to the 42 of David Comstock. Meanwhile, Dylan Jones pulling that gap up over 3 seconds now. So Dylan Jones basically has to ride this one out if they're because we are past that point of no return. If a caution were to come out, that would be the end of it.
It would be the end of it indeed. Lap 132 now up on the board for both Freenars and Comstock. So 4 laps left for Comstock to go get P2, and a few more points. It won't really mean all that much in the context of things, save for maybe a little bit of momentum, especially with the way he's driven up through most of the top 10. He came out of pit road and was about 7th or 8th when he rejoined this race, and has single-handedly picked off everybody in the top 5, save for Jones and Freenars.
Yeah. And if you're looking at Freenars right now, you can see that he's got David Comstock all over the back bumper of that 88 machine. Is the 42 going to look low in turns 3 and 4? He's not going to look there. Now he's going below 2 tires below the yellow line, going to close up that gap all over the back bumper. Is there going to be a fight for this position, or is Freenar's going to give it up? You see David Comstock looking to the inside, trying to even it up just a little bit. You can see him get back on the gas and even it up, going down the dog leg. Is he going to cut the dog leg? He's not. He's going to stay up on the track. The tires have gone by too much to try to risk it now. He's going to try to get the pass. Look at him, 2 tires under the yellow line once again in 3 and 4. Not going to quite make the pass as Freenar's going to battle back, but now Andrew Freenar falls to 3rd. David Comstock to 2nd with white flag in the air.
1 lap to go for the 11 machine of Dylan Jones, who is well clear of that battle for P2. Comstock looks like he should be able to come away with it, but Dylan Jones, the man here above everybody else. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wins in 2017 so far for Dylan Jones. 1 more big prize left next week. He will race for the 2017 RealSimRacing.com Full Throttle Cup Series presented by Gary Mercer Trucking Championship at Homestead Miami Speedway next weekend, and he will be joined by David Comstock, Andrew Freenars, and the 98 machine of David Washington. Those 4 men have a shot to win the RSR title.
What a wild race. We definitely knew that Dylan Jones had a car to beat from the first run here. What a race. 1 caution to end it all. Green flag pit stops. I don't think you could have asked for a better race here tonight at Phoenix, James.
Big run from the 11 machine to really lock down his status as the favorite for next week. We will talk to Jones and to David Comstock and Andrew Freenars, and we will go through your running order here when we come back from the other side of this commercial break. You are watching coverage of the RealSimRacing.com Full Throttle Cup Series presented by Gary Mercer Trucking on LSRTV, your home for sim racing. Welcome back to coverage of the RealSimRacing.com Full Throttle Cup Series on LSRTV, your home for sim racing. You're wrapping up the 35th, the penultimate race of 2017 in this series presented by Gary Mercer Trucking, where Dylan Jones has victory number 6 of 2017. And at this stage, we'll go ahead and take a look at your full field rundown to tell you where your favorite driver finished up tonight. Dylan Jones gets it done again for Aegis Motorsports. That has 2 wins in the last 3 races to get to Homestead as a Championship 4 contender. David Comstock finished second. We'll join him in the fight for the title next week down in South Florida, as will your 3rd place finisher, Andrew Freenars. Nick Silver finishes 4th, a solid run for the 24 machine. Brandon Bowie tried to win the race, had to win the race to make it, just couldn't quite do it. So his playoff run ends at the round of 8 in 5th position here in this race. Austin Coop finishes in the 6th spot. Anthony DeBarra comes home 7th. David Washington is the last of the 4 men to make it into the Championship 4, but he'll be there next week. Finishes 8th. Dwayne Vincent came home 9th tonight. Tanner Tallarico in the number 1 machine rounded out the top 10.
Gabe Wood is going to come home in that 11th place position. 12th, Nelson Rivera, after a hard-fought comeback for that driver in that 7 machine. Then 13th goes to Corey Wolf. Ross Cato going to be 14th. 15th goes to Doug Roth, and Trevor Roppolo in that 9 is going to be 16th, and your last car on the lead lap. 17th goes to Lionel Kalisto. Shane Ewing is 18th. 19th goes to Eric Stanford, and 20th is Douglas Wyatt. That's going to be a look top to bottom at your full race. Also, I'm going to toss it over to Victory Lane, where you're standing with Dylan Jones for the win bike.
Dylan Jones, FTW. I have a feeling that might end up being a rallying cry of the number 11 fan base here in the next week. It comes off pretty well as a hashtag, to be fair. So, Dylan, speed in that long green flag run to end it. Somehow you were able to save the tires better than anybody else. Care to tell us how we can learn how to save tires like you?
Drive really slow at the start and then go fast at the end. No, we played a little bit of pit strategy throughout the race. I mean, even from what we make it 1 lap when the first caution came out there, we pit it. But by the end of that run, I mean, 1 lap makes quite a bit of difference here. We made up a ton of time, and that allowed us to save at the beginning of the second run. And we just took it easy, knowing that some of those other guys short pitted way before us. And if we just stayed patient, we'd reel them back in as long as it stayed green. And it seemed like it was gonna with the race. It was all real clean tonight out there, and everyone got real spread out. So we just kept the tires on it, and that's all we had to do.
And I look at our season here, and it seems absolutely crazy to me that you went all the way from the beginning of March to almost the end of July without winning a race after you got it done in Atlanta. And since then, especially in the playoffs, you've been winning basically every 3rd week. And in this case, it's only been 2 weeks since your last win. So, especially within this playoff run so far, where have you found that extra bit of speed that just wasn't there at the start of the year?
It just kind of all started coming together for us, I guess. At the beginning of the year, I definitely wasn't where I wanted to be on speed or race finishes or luck or pretty much anything. There's a lot of stuff going wrong for us. But towards the end of here, we really buckled down, put in a bunch of laps. This week, I didn't get as many laps in as we wanted to, but just staying focused and going. We have one goal in mind, and that's what we've been heading towards.
So now we can turn our attention towards that with you. You're in the Championship 4. You're racing for your first RSR Full Throttle Cup Series title next Monday night down in Miami. What's your game plan for this week, and what's your game plan for that race in order to bring home the championship?
We got to put in some laps. Homestead's an interesting track here with the new surface model here. The lanes will widen out So you might be able to run up against a wall, run against a white line, just put a strategy together on what we think's going to work out best throughout the race, and we got to execute it, and execute it better than everyone else.
Something that you and this 11 team have done pretty well as of late. Before we let you go, as always, fans, family, friends, shout-outs, everybody that you need to thank. Who makes it possible for this 11 machine?
Everyone in the ages group. It's been an amazing season for all of us. Dave, Andy, James, Ross, Steve, Kyle, everybody out here, Andrew. It's been a great run to this point, and congratulations to Comstock and everyone, all my other teammates that made it into the chase. Should be fun.
Congratulations on victory number 6. We'll be watching next week, Dylan, to see if you can go get victory number 7, which comes with a little bit larger piece of hardware on the line as well.
We're ready.
As ever, that's Dylan Jones, race winner tonight at Phoenix, one of your championship 4 drivers for next week. And from my position here in the very turquoisey and tealy, I think technically speaking it is turquoise, since we are in the Southwest, and that is pretty popular down here. But from turquoise of Victory Lane to the white walls of Pit Road, that's where Chris Murdoch has David Comstock.
And what a drive by that 42 machine at the end to just eke by the 88 and capture that second place position. But there was a whole lot of racing between that. David, how was it out there on the track tonight?
It got slick on the long runs. Had to be careful with the front end on entry, not to drive too hard and kill the right front, and then just being easy on the throttle, not to lose the right rear. So it was just, you know, the first, I guess the first 20 laps on the run with the tires were you know, pretty much felt like as long as you're driving it, you know, not like a madman, you're on rails. But then after that, you really have to start paying attention with what you're doing, and the balance changes, and it gets really slick really quick. And you can do a little line searching through 3 and 4. I tried running, you know, middle of the track, upper grooves, tried running all the way down on the apron, and just really, it didn't matter where you ran. It kind of felt better to run more so the bottom to save the right front. So, but overall, just it was good to have green flag runs. You know, good to show a good finish and good effort. Congrats to Dylan Jones. But next week, second place finish. I don't think it's going to do it. I think we got to win next week.
That indeed, and we'll get into that in just a moment. But I do want to talk about pit strategy here, because that's something that we really didn't talk about a lot coming into this broadcast. You know, you don't really see one caution and a whole lot of green flag racings here at Phoenix. So obviously pit strategy was a huge part of the race tonight. You know, what went through your head when you were trying to make that pit strategy call?
Well, I wanted to kind of do it somewhere in the middle of the run, but then with how short the track is and how long you're on pit road, you're going to go 2 laps down. So if you short pit early and you get screwed on the yellow, your race is done. So I kind of waited until we were pretty much out of gas and then pitted at that point, because then most of the field would have pitted, and things would have cycled around to where we wouldn't have that type of scenario happen for us. So yeah, we lost out on the track position early, but in the long run, we gained it all back and was able to get back to at least up to the second place spot where we were behind Dylan before it all cycled out.
And then you mentioned it just a few moments ago, Homestead, Miami, you're going to be fighting for that championship gold along with Dylan, Andrew, and Washington along with you. You know, have you even given it a thought to next week in Homestead yet, or is that going to be something that you'll try to get a game plan down throughout the week? Because like you said, I don't think second place will be able to cut it. I think you're going to have to go out there and win against strong competitors.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about it. I kind of use Texas as a kind of a preview of what Homestead would kind of feel like, as far as like it's, you know, the second to last mile and a half intermediate style track before you go to Homestead. So we got to execute, bottom line. It's exciting to be a part of it. I'm proud that we're a part of it, and to be a part with 3 other really strong competitors. It's going to be tough, but we're going to go out there. We're going to give it 100%, and wherever the cards hand us, we'll just, as long as we give it 100%, it's a privilege to be a part of it next week.
And before we let you go from Phoenix, there's got to be a list of people you have to thank here tonight, or if not a list, just a short few of people. Obviously there's going to be sponsor shout outs. Who makes that happen there for you, David?
Yeah, everybody at Aftermath Motorsports and Turn 1 Heroes on here, all their support for allowing me to come and run here at Real Sim Racing, and you guys, LSRTV, for broadcasting it for us every single week, and sponsors on the car, JT Plax Plus. Go to our website, jtplax.com, use code David3, get yourself 25% off throughout the week here. Monster Energy, Gary Mercer Trucking, JD Laird, JDR Graphics for keeping my paint schemes nice and crisp every single week. EJ Brakes, Hick and Jicks, everybody all watching, fans, friends, family. Thank you guys. We'll see you next week.
We will be watching intently next week to see what you got for Homestead, Dave. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us. Good luck next week.
Thank you.
And that'll be your second place finisher, David Comstock. I'm going to be moving down just a few little pit stalls here to try to talk to Andrew Freenars, who comes home with a hard-fought third place finish. Andrew, how'd the car feel out there tonight?
Car felt pretty good to start the race. Started pole. Putting a lot of practice this week. Paid off in qualifying, able to start out front. Probably the longest run I did was that first run there. We went 45, probably even 60 laps I think we did there before we pitted. And I really felt like I was good for 45 laps, but once we got past that 50 lap mark, I think the tires just went on the car. And overall, I think that cost us the win tonight. Really, Dylan had incredible tire saving abilities, and Comstock as well. Gotta give it to them. But we short pitted there, hoping to get a caution. Didn't end up happening, and wound up third today.
And we saw drivers moving around all over the place, from the middle line to the low line to the very low line, between going below the yellow line. Was there any speed anywhere else other than the traditional, bottom line? Could you find anything, or was it just hard to keep the car and keep the tires on the car?
I started searching that first run. I went high, but I just got so loose on exit of 4, I couldn't really find anything. And then I was getting tight coming off of 2. So I looked around. I didn't really find anything. Kind of below on that apron, below the yellow line in 3 and 4, there was a little grip. I think Dylan was running that all night, and he really kind of showed that to me. I was able to run it after he passed me, but yeah, mostly, I mean, just on the bottom is where I found the grip. I don't know if any other drivers had any other luck, but I certainly did not.
And then we move on to Homestead, your locked-in championship 4. You have the shot to go grab the gold next week. Have you given it any thought after the race here tonight of what that means to you? 3 strong competitors are going to be standing at the doorstep there, all grabbing for the same thing. Just what's going through your mind right now?
Truthfully, I don't really feel like I should be here or really deserve it. Daniel Everhart, he won last week. He should have been in. There was a call that suspended him from the playoffs, really. I didn't feel like it was on purpose, but we wanted to come out today and win and prove that we belong, and we didn't do it. So, we're happy to be in the Final 4, but you can't help but feel, we're really not even supposed to be here. So, we'll take that chance. I think we're pretty much the underdog here, and we'll go in and have some fun next week and see what we can't do. But, you can't help but feeling that, we're extremely lucky to be here, and we really don't deserve to be here.
We'll just have to see how things play out next week. And like you mentioned, that underdog mentality as you're going into this. But before we let you go here tonight from Phoenix, sponsors, shout-outs, who makes it happen for you?
I have to say, first off, a huge thank you to Dave Washington. He brought me on this team at the start of the year and just helped me get faster and faster every year. So without him, none of this would have been possible. Half enough to make the Final 4. We didn't even think we'd make the playoffs this year. So it's been a heck of a ride. my brother for building the computer to run this sim. It ain't possible without him. My dad, grandpa, my mom, Sean, everybody who watches every week, all my friends and family, and everybody on the Aegis team, from Andy with the paints every week to Steve on the box, Carl Shed, Daniel Everhart, Dylan Jones, Trevor Roppolo, Gio, just everybody who's helped me through this year. It's been a heck of a ride. I can't believe we're in the Final Four, and just got to say thank you to everyone there. LSRTV broadcasts every week. They do a great job. I always enjoy watching it back on Tuesday. And all the fans who come out and watch every week. It's been a long season. I hope we made it entertaining today, and it's going to be a heck of a race next week, so tune in for that.
We'll all be watching very intently, and from all of us here at LSR TV, we wish you the best of luck next week at Homestead. Looking forward to hopefully talking to you next week. Good luck, Andrew.
Thank you so much.
And there you have it. You heard Andrew mention this man's name in the thank you portion of his interview, but now James Pike going to be standing right next to David Washington, getting the thoughts from the final driver in the Final Four.
To make sure we round it out and go 4 for 4 with our championship contenders next week here on pit road with the driver of the number 98 machine, David Washington. Finished 8th tonight. Before we talk about next week, just talk about how tonight went for you.
Going into this race, I was telling Andy that I literally did not want to be around anybody. I wanted to just try to stay by myself without getting in traffic or getting around Comstock or Bowie or, you know, Callisto or anybody else that was fighting for that last spot. You know, because I heard at the beginning during the talks with Kyle and stuff, you know, no shenanigans or nothing like that. So I didn't even want to put myself in a position to even have anybody look at me and say anything. So I just kind of just tried to stay, mind my business all night, and that was pretty much it.
You minded your business. You're going to be there. You've got a teammate to help you out, too, next week. I wonder if that might be the biggest thing of all. And you've got one direct teammate and then one with the Power and Tech Alliance and Freenard. So do you have a sense of what the team dynamics are going to do to shape the way you, the three of you in particular, race the championship for next week?
I think the biggest thing we're probably going to work on is to see how well we can kind of draft together at a track like that, and really try to work on our long run speed. And if it goes anything like tonight, it's definitely going to be a show on the driver's ability to be there at the end, like a lot of the guys were tonight that were, you know, finished up in front of me. They executed the way they were supposed to, and, you know, it worked out pretty good for them.
Now, looking at your individual case, maybe not quite the playoffs that you would have wanted, but we've talked to a lot of people in and outside of RSR and of Aegis Motorsport, and they will say on many occasions that you have said Homestead is one of, if not maybe your favorite track on the sim. Take a moment to talk about why you love racing at Homestead so much.
I believe it's just the rhythm. That's probably it's actually right. It's the only track that I really enjoy, and I, you know, spend a little bit of time on. But I get in a zone, and it's just, I feel so comfortable there no matter what the weather is or what the track's like. It's just one of those things you have to be able to feel how hard to push your car or not push it. You know, especially getting on pit road at a place like that, it gets really tricky with old tires. The same thing with leaving. You really just have to have all your bases covered, and you just can't force the car, because then you'll start to hurt the tires, and then you'll just, you know, you're going straight backwards.
I love how you talked about pits there for a moment, because it reminded me of the Icebreaker Championship in February when Jeff Ward blew his shot to win the title and handed it to David Comstock off of a pit road issue that came about because he had old tires. So might have just foreshadowed a little bit of what we'll see next week, Dave. But to the main question. We know that Dylan Jones has had the momentum and will have the momentum going into this race. What's your game plan to stop him and win your first RSR title?
do I give my secret away or not? I'll give it away. All you got to do is stay on his bumper. Just make a mirror drive. That's really the only thing that I'm going to focus on is Jones's bumper. I'm not taking anything away from Andrew. Andrew's a hell of a driver, and he's come a long way in a short time. But Jones, just going to try to play games with him. Just try to get in his head and get him to make mistakes. That's, it doesn't matter if it's Jones, Comstock, or Andrew. You got to try to do something out of the norm because they run with me all week. They know what I'm doing. They listen to me. And so I got to think of a different strategy.
You've got to wait to come up with it. So we'll give you a chance to regroup and get ready for the big fight next Monday night. But before we do, sponsors, shout-outs, friends, family, thank yous. Who makes it happen for this 98 team?
Yeah, definitely a big shout-out to Julio. Putting us all together and getting us to work well with each other. Andrew, week in and week out for this long season that we run, I owe a lot of it to him for keeping me patient and not getting myself in trouble when I could. Definitely Jones, Ross, Todd Witkowski, we got Carl Shedd, Trevor Rapolo, James Ross. The list just goes on. There's just so many people that we work very well together, so even the ones that are not fast can still learn. My mom for watching each week. You guys for putting on a heck of a show each week that I get to go back and enjoy. And all the drivers. I mean, all the drivers this season, it's been up and down, but I think here going into Homestead, it's going to be a really good show.
Thank you for the time and your insight, Dave. Congratulations on making the championship 4, and we look forward to watching you and the other 3 drivers race down in South Florida next week for the series championship.
Thanks, guys.
There's David Washington, final man in the championship 4. So we've talked our top 3. We've talked to the 4 in the championship. A few things left to do before we go ahead and roll out for the evening. First, we'll remind you that tonight's coverage of the RealSimRacing.com Full Throttle Cup Series on LSRTV has been brought to you by Hippie's Paint Shop. Hippie's Paint Shop has over 5 years of experience providing top-quality custom paint schemes for all iRacing vehicles at a low price. Because after all, at Hippie's Paint Shop, the cost isn't high, just the painter. And we thank Hippies for their support of RSR Full Throttle Cup Series coverage on LSR TV all season long. And now, I don't think we can avoid it anymore, Chris Murdoch. It's time. 1 week from tonight, Homestead, Miami, the championship. Do I need to say more than that, or can you add to it?
I really don't think you can really say much more. I think both of us are eagerly awaiting that championship race next Monday, and it's going to be a great one. We have 4 of the best drivers in the series today going at it for the championship. And although Andrew doesn't feel like he should be there, he's there. He's got to get himself in the game and go out there like he deserves to be here. He's got to get that confidence up, go out there and knock it out of the park at Homestead. And we've already heard Dave Washington's plan for the race, and I don't know if any of the other drivers have caught his interview just yet, but everybody knows exactly what he's going to have to do, and maybe he'll switch it up here, but he's still got a week to figure out exactly what he wants to do. Everybody's going to come in with some sort of game plan, and everybody's got that on their mind going into next week.
A huge week. Anything else that you think we should expect from this, and especially from Dylan Jones, from David Washington, and David Comstock? You touched on Freedar's a little bit, but I'll give you a chance to touch on the other 4 here before we break.
Well, like I mentioned, we've already known exactly what David Washington's going to want to do. He's wanting to try to get up there and try to get these drivers to make mistakes. With Dylan Jones, 6 wins in the playoffs. That's the most out of anybody in this playoff format, and the only driver to win in every single round. And now he's got to do it in the final round, the final race. Homestead, he's got to close out this season, and I think He's, as you mentioned, the Vegas favorite to get this done. And for David Comstock, who had a lot of long run speed, he's just got to keep the momentum up and try to be there at the end of the race, not make too many mistakes. That's going to be the main thing, is just don't beat yourself at Homestead. If you get beat straight up, that's fine. You hang your head, you come back next season, and you're ready to go. But just don't beat yourself with speeding penalties, with any other penalties, with cautions, getting yourself in. You heard David Washington really want to get and just stay out of everybody's way. Some drivers may go to that strategy early on in this race. You just got to stay out of everything and just try to run your race to the best of your ability next week.
So we are here. 10,000 miles of competition, over 10,000 actually, has all come down to this. We have no more miles to Miami, no races left to bring a twist in the tail. It is on next Monday night at Homestead Miami Speedway for the 2017 RealSimRacing.com Full Throttle Cup Series presented by Gary Mercer Trucking Championship. And it will be here live on LSRTV, your home for sim racing, on YouTube and on Facebook Live. In the meantime, you can keep up with LSRTV on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, of course. If you want to find out what happens during the rest of the week, make sure you pay attention to all of the other action on LSRTV this week. Gonna have a lot of fun stuff throughout it. I know we'll go Super Speedway Cup Racing and United Sim Racing Truck Series racing at the weekend as well. And I think we might have some action from the Myrtle Beach Speedway Simulation Series in the not too distant future too. So if you want to keep up with more of that, check the social media feeds. You can also follow Real Sim Racing if you want to pay attention to the Full Throttle Cup Series in particular, at Real Sim Racing on Twitter and on the Real Sim Racing Facebook page. We'll have all sorts of coverage in the build-up to next Monday night's championship finale, which will be right here on your home for sim racing, LSR TV. So for my colleague up in the booth, Mr. Chris Murdoch, for our ever-lovely and talented producer, Cisco Scaramuzza, for Kyle Barnes and Doug Atkinson at Real Sim Racing, and for Laura Lawson, DJ Lyon, and Evan Pasoko at LSR TV, I'm James Pike. Thank you so much for watching tonight's broadcast from Phoenix, and we will decide a champion in South Florida next Monday night.